Tonight, the fallout from Tourism Regina's rebrand to Experience Regina continues. Also, hundreds in Regina have their voices heard about a new building proposal. Plus, a pitch for year-round freestyle skiing in Saskatoon.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Friday, November 3rd, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. I'm Ethan Williams in for Sam McKeag. Thanks for joining us tonight. We begin with the latest on a long-running saga that drew international attention to Regina's tourism sector. The fallout of the failed Experience Regina rebrand is set to make its way to council next week. Alexander Kwan has more on how it got to this point.
About 18 months ago, Regina City Council voted to give Regina Exhibition Association Limited, or REAL, control of the city's tourism organization. Now, a motion coming in front of council next week could reverse that decision. It's all because of this. The Experience Regina rebrand launched earlier this year, but it didn't last long, quickly coming under fire for the use of sexualized slogans like "the city that rhymes with fun" and "show us your Regina." Tim Reed, the CEO of REAL, was forced to apologize for the campaign, and the rebrand was eventually put out of its misery a few weeks later. An independent third-party investigation followed. It concluded the slogans were the result of a junior staffer who acted without the permission of senior management. Now, REAL's board of directors says it needs to focus on its core businesses, and in order to do that, it needs the city to take back control of its tourism. City Manager Nikki Anderson has endorsed this plan. In a statement, she said, "The combination of communications and marketing expertise from both organizations would help facilitate a smooth transition and, longer term, provide synergies to refresh and revitalize the work of Tourism Regina." That's similar to the words council used to justify the decision to move tourism to REAL. A city report from last year said the swap would be a natural fit and provide for increased focus and efficiencies. The City of Regina and REAL say they won't be commenting on this until City Council makes its decision. City Council is set to reconvene next week. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
The provincial government says it has no plans to give money to supervised consumption sites. This despite calls from the Saskatchewan Medical Association to do just that. The association passed a resolution 2 years ago calling for funding for the sites. The issue came up again today at the SMA's Fall Assembly in Saskatoon. The doctors in this room say supervised consumption sites work, and they can't understand why the province won't support those spaces. The Minister of Health and Addictions spoke to doctors today. Tim McLeod says the province is focusing on treatment and recovery.
The community-based organizations that are offering those services can continue to do so. The government's not interested in providing funding for consumption sites because we believe the approach that we are taking is the better approach.
Prairie Harm Reduction is the supervised consumption site in Saskatoon. It relies on donations and merchandise sales to keep running. Saskatchewan's latest job numbers are out, and they show the highest monthly increase the province has seen in 3 years. More than 9,000 new jobs were added in October compared to September. That's the second highest jump in Canada behind Alberta. Most of these positions were in the education, science, and tech sectors. Saskatchewan's unemployment rate fell as a result to 4.4%. That's below the national average of 5.7%.
Very, very positive news, and I think it's a reflection of the fact that we do have a growing economy as well, but we're also working really hard to get credentials recognized. So that means for new Canadians that are coming, perhaps as a spouse of a SIMP applicant, working with them to have credentials that might have been obtained from outside of Canada recognized here in Canada, in Saskatchewan, so those folks can take a job in the economy, the growing economy here.
The latest statistics also suggest 1 in 3 Canadians live in a household experiencing financial difficulties. Saskatchewan currently has the lowest minimum wage in the country at $14 an hour. The federal finance minister met virtually with her provincial and territorial counterparts today. It was to discuss Alberta's proposal to pull out of the Canada Pension Plan. If Alberta leaves, experts say it could lead to a spike in how much workers and employers across the country need to chip in. But as Marina von Stackelberg reports, some provinces didn't want to talk pensions. They wanted to talk about the carbon tax.
Good afternoon. Hi, everyone.
Canada's Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland says she's asked staff to find out how much pension plan money would have to be transferred to Alberta if it left, a move she says could have dire consequences.
That one province might leave the CPP is posing brand new questions for our whole country. This has never happened before.
Freeland insists the one-hour virtual meeting was productive.
We always do find a way to work together. And actually, today's meeting was very encouraging for me in that respect.
But before she even spoke to reporters, Saskatchewan's finance minister blasted the meeting for not being about what she calls a much more pressing issue, writing, "I am extremely disappointed with the complete disregard from Minister Freeland to speak about the carbon tax crisis created by this federal government last week." That's when Ottawa announced a 3-year exemption to the carbon tax for Canadian homes that heat with oil. Saskatchewan's Premier Scott Moe threatened to stop collecting the carbon tax altogether if other forms of heat weren't included, like natural gas. Now, New Brunswick is looking at whether it should do the same.
Premier Moe may have already had that answer, but I'm asking our colleagues here, our legal team, what opportunities do we have there?
Even Ontario, that requested the pension meeting, called on the Liberal government today to remove the carbon tax on natural gas.
I'll just say this, we're talking about national unity and the Canada Pension Plan. This carbon tax is now becoming an issue of national unity.
Will there be any further exemptions to the carbon tax on home heating?
No.
Freeland says finance ministers will have a chance to talk about the carbon tax when they meet in person next month. But this issue will undoubtedly come up when the premiers meet in Halifax in just a few days. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
A proposal for a 5-story apartment building in Regina's Boot Hill neighborhood is facing a hostile reception. About 200 people piled into the gym at Douglas Park Elementary School last night. Many shared concerns about increased traffic and potential changes to the area's character. A spokesperson for the community hoped the turnout sent a powerful message.
I would like to think that the message would be, please hear us. We have lived here a long time. We are educated on the area, more so than any little research document that you could come up with. I think it says that we really care and we're going to hold you accountable.
As a democratically elected person, I can't ignore what appears to be a democratic will of people who live here. And I think the most important voice in whether something gets built is the people who live there.
The city is collecting feedback for another week. It's also waiting on more information from the developer. Council will ultimately have the final approval. The Saskatoon Fire Department hosted its first live fire course at its new regional training facility in Corman Park today. Instructors from Saskatoon, Warman and Martensville teamed up to teach existing firefighters new techniques. The plan is to have all crews in the area complete this training by the end of next year. Saskatoon Fire says it's the first time in more than a decade the department has been able to do this kind of hands-on teaching, and it hopes to continue to use the new joint use facility in this way.
It's been roughly a decade since we've had a facility where we could run repetitive burns. So we talk about the sea cans that you see behind us as really our classroom. It's a place that's been designed for learning. It's a place where we can run evolutions again and again in a consistent manner, and we can stop and observe and teach the firefighters what they're seeing and then how to react to the changing fire environment.
Until now, Saskatoon fire crews mostly trained through real-life experiences or simulations, but this new facility allows instructors to pause and talk about what they're seeing along the way. Prominent scholar and former judge Mary Ellen Turpel-Lafond is being dropped from the Order of Canada. The notice will be published in tomorrow's edition of the federal government's online newspaper. The Canada Gazette says the termination comes at Turpel-Lafond's own request. In a text to CBC News, Turpel-Lafond says she returned the honor because she didn't, in her words, want to be harassed by people who seem to make it their thing to kick others down, adding, quote, "Life is too precious to give haters a seat at my table." The termination was approved by the Governor General back in September, and it's expected to take effect tomorrow. Turpel-Lafond was plunged into controversy last fall after a CBC investigation raised questions about her claims to Indigenous ancestry. Well, if you still have your jack-o'-lantern kicking around and you're in Regina, you can drop it off in front of this home in Walsh Acres. The pumpkins are being collected for farm animal feed, and you can add yours to the pile at 66 Rink Avenue. Just remember to remove any candles, toothpicks, or anything else that could be harmful to the animals. And you're going to want to do that sooner rather than later because our weather is about to get messy. I'll have the details after the break. Welcome back. In Saskatchewan, you can play hockey, go cross-country skiing, or try curling, but there's nowhere to freestyle ski. Now, one group is hoping to change that by building a year-round freestyle ski facility in Saskatoon. Aishwarya Duda has that story.
Wide. Yeah. Compared to traditional downhill, freestyle skiing kicks things up a notch, going from edge control and speed to a more acrobatic style with flips, moguls, and half pipes. Saskatoon's Maya Schwinghammer is Canada's #1 female freestyle skier on the World Cup circuit. She grew up in the province, but often had to travel elsewhere to train.
Definitely was a little bit more difficult than, say, some of my teammates on the Canadian team with me, but with all the support I had, that's how we made it work. But lots of travel, lots of time spent in BC and Alberta, weekend road trips to Canada Olympic Park in Calgary.
The Saskatoon Freestyle Club plans to build a new training zone at Optimist Hill on an unused part of the hill. The facility will have an airbag site, an Olympic trampoline, a clubhouse, and a dry slope for summer practice. A volunteer at the club says the goal is to make the sport more accessible for people.
Anybody who wants to be involved, skiers, snowboarders, really our facilities expand beyond that, to gymnasts who want to use trampoline time. And it's really there for everybody.
The club has launched a GoFundMe campaign to help pay for the project. They hope to raise $500,000. Athlete turned head coach Lauren Ryan says she's been involved in freestyle skiing since she started skiing at 9 years old.
I grew up as one of 2 female skiers in the province, which was really difficult for us. We were kind of playing with the big boys, and it was difficult to keep up. So for me, one of the things that I like to focus in on is keeping girls in sport and having that female presence within.
Schwinghammer says she's excited that the club is taking the sport to the next level.
If they get the water amp facilities and some of the airbag facilities, for sure I will be out here, even just jumping with the kids, I love to give back to my community when I can, and to see this coming up is really amazing.
Saskatoon City Council passed the motion to allow Freestyle Club to build at Optimist Hill. Now they're hoping to raise the $500,000 to put shovels in the ground. Aishwarya Duda, CBC News, Saskatoon.
The weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln. 2023 model clearout is on now.
Well, once again, the clouds had quite a difficult time clearing through much of the province today, including in Regina, where we're currently sitting at the freezing mark. But there is messy weather to come. And in fact, we now have a special weather statement in effect, as you can see on our watch warning map here. And this is for an Alberta clipper that'll be moving in and bringing some snow and also some freezing rain. Note there that both Regina and Saskatoon are included in that advisory. So just how are things going to play out? Well, tomorrow I think will be mostly cloudy once again, save for the far north of the province. But things get going tomorrow evening around 8 or 9 o'clock. Some showers moving moving into west central Saskatchewan and maybe even the Saskatoon area. And then that system kind of blossoms out a bit in a generally northwest to southeast pattern. And for places like Regina, Saskatoon, the Highway 11 corridor, I think mostly this is going to be rainfall. Almost right along the Yellowhead corridor, though, that's where we see that rain-snow line, and north of the Yellowhead is, I think, with the best chance of seeing some more significant snowfall. But with temperatures being quite warm and then dropping to below freezing, there is the possibility of freezing rain, especially in southeastern Saskatchewan, including in Regina. We'll just be left with snow through the Churchill region on Sunday and Monday morning. That will start to clear out through the day Monday, but then another system, smaller one albeit, starting to move up from the states early into Tuesday that will be impacting southern Saskatchewan. Highest snowfall amounts likely in the 5 to 10 centimeter range, I should say, stretching from La Loche through La Ronge to about the Hudson Bay area. And in terms of rainfall, I think that'll mostly be kind of along and south of Highway 16 there, probably 2 to 4 millimeters at the most. But even Regina and especially southwestern Saskatchewan, we're not looking for very much there. Winds, though, will remain relatively light. We're on the north side of the system. It's to the south of the system where the winds will be picking up. Even still, though, there will be the possibility that we could see some widespread visibility issues. This actually is into tomorrow morning, and that could be because of another round of fog like we saw last night. But as that snow and kind of mixed precipitation starts to move in, we could still see that drop at times, and there is the possibility that we could see fog build in once again. So for Regina, our temperatures are actually going to get a bit of a benefit as this system moves in. We'll be close to 10 degrees in some places in south central and southwestern Saskatchewan Sunday, probably only about 1 to 3 millimeters or so. We'll be left with cloud cover Monday before that next system on Tuesday, before maybe finally some clearing conditions into next week. Saskatoon, again, I think we're mostly looking at about 1 to 3 millimeters for you folks here. But notice not a day below freezing next week, although our temperatures will drop below the freezing mark, but stay out of minus double-digit territory. And we're also looking for things to clear out, hopefully, as temperatures hover around normal for this time of year. Well, New York's Bronx Zoo is showing off 2 snow leopard cubs. Snow leopards live in the high-altitude regions of Central Asia. In the wild, their white fur and gray spots make them nearly invisible among the snow and rocks, and they're known to be one of the world's most elusive big cats. Stay with us. We're back after the break. A Saskatoon teen is pursuing his passion in mixed martial arts. Lucas Oant has been training with the same coach since he was 12, and now at 19, he's determined to make it to the Ultimate Fighting Championship. In this video for the CBC Creator Network, filmmaker Felipe Gomez followed Oant to a competition in British Columbia.
MMA fight tonight. Don't forget multiple disciplines of martial arts being represented tonight.
My name is Lucas Oant. I'm from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and I dream of becoming a professional MMA fighter. For this sport, you need to train hard and to be the kind of person who doesn't mind keeping a strict diet and training schedule.
Supporting Lucas through his MMA career is very rewarding. It's something he's always wanted to do. It's hard because, you see your kid in there and he's fighting someone, like physically fighting someone, and you don't want him to get hurt, but it's rewarding in the sense that he's following his dream and he's doing what he wants to do, and so I'm all for it. And I have other people say, well, how can you support something like that? It's like, how can you not support your kid in doing something that he wants to do and that he loves, that's his passion?
I have been training with Coach Kurt Southern since I was 12. What I like most about him is that he keeps me accountable. He knows what he's doing, while also being an amazing mentor and role model. Arriving in Kamloops with the team, all the way from Saskatchewan, I love seeing the mountains. Traveling with the guys is nice because it reduces the nerves. After all, you're with your team instead of by yourself. In MMA, each fight counts. The more fights you win, the more attention and opportunities you get. This next fight is really important. Finally, it's fight day.
To the BC Athletic Commission, the shoot regulations in section by the BC Athletic Commission.
I try to stay calm and focus on what's coming next. I start warming up, but honestly, I just can't wait to get in the ring. Now, it all comes down to this. Since my opponent is significantly taller and has a longer reach, my game plan is to kick his legs out, get inside, wrestle, and hopefully get my hand raised. I'm feeling good, hitting lots and not getting hit. The game plan is working so far. As I'm getting in my groove, he keeps pressuring me, so I fight back and start pressuring him. This is a crazy sport where anything can change in a second.
When Lucas got dropped, it's an awful feeling because you have to understand the father figure kicks in and your own son gets dropped in the front of your eyes and nothing you can do about it. In MMA, this is part of the game. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn.
Your winner by KO on the blue corner, Ryan Spur.
Losing sucks. I mean, all the hours of training and sacrifices. This is a really individualistic sport, but my coaches and teammates make me feel like I am part of one big team. The support of my friends, families, and parents makes me proud. This is an opportunity to pick myself up, dust myself off, learn, go back, and rise.
And that video was by Felipe Gomez for the CBC Creator Network. And if you are a digital creator with a story you want to tell, well, we want to hear from you. You can find out how to pitch at cbc.ca/Creator Network SK. Well, another round of fog possible tonight in the Regina area under partly cloudy conditions around -4. And by the time we wake up tomorrow, that fog should be gone, but clouds will have built in once again. We're looking for a temperature around -5. Keep in mind those winds, again, going to be fairly light. So if you got a nice walk planned for the afternoon, won't actually be a bad day tomorrow as the temperature gets above freezing again before we see that messy weather system move in tomorrow night. Saskatoon, a pretty similar picture here. We're looking for partly cloudy conditions. Maybe some patches of fog here and there, but by tomorrow morning we're at -4. Mostly cloudy conditions have built in, and again, nice light winds for you folks too. By the afternoon, probably sitting around 0, and we just might get above the freezing mark too. Mostly cloudy skies, and again, that system building in sort of around 8 or 9 o'clock for you as we head into tomorrow night. And that is it for us tonight. For news anytime, of course, you can head to our website or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. I'll be back with more local news and weather at 11. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.